Yeah. This about big business. All about the profit, all about the commas like I'm standing mid-sentence. Niggas never did get it. Y'all gon' have to deal with me. Everything in life slowed up on me. Probably Mr. Bills didn't. Now I gotta deal with it.
All right, guys, we're back here live from the warehouse, and today our guest is Memphis's Don Tripp.
Yeah.
What's up, man?
Hey, man, hanging in there. You know me, I don't complain, man.
You don't. What, I guess to start it right out, the plan was to try to get you in here around the release of the album.
Right.
Christopher Season 2.
Indeed.
And I wanted to start right off with that because you had an album called just Christopher.
Right.
And what kind of, that's your name, but
Of
what
course.
but what else is like what does that entail? Like what does that mean?
That's kind of more like a this day and age you get fewer albums and more mixtapes, so to speak. So when I release now, I don't really give them a category. I don't say this is an album or this is a mixtape, and I think it's kind of easy to get lost in it. And for consumers, I don't think they even care. I think music is music to them at this point. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to kind of give you the idea that this project is as near and dear as the Christopher album was, and I felt like what better name to give a project than to name it after me, because I think of all things, not to say it in a selfish way, but I'm the most important person in my situation. Without me, there's no father for my children, there's no husband for my wife, there's no son for my mother. So, a lot of the things I have to provide and I have to do, without me, I don't really see I don't see a replacement. So just the name Christopher, just it being named after me was that was the focal point for you to understand that both projects are a great part of me and who I am and where I stand today. And I normally I kind of like press pause on doing like sequels and in series, and this one just felt right to do because of the space I was in. I wanted to give you something that was kind of a change of direction. Like early on, I was doing when mixtapes were mixtapes, I was doing a lot of mixtapes, and I was doing series then, and I kind of, once I did an official album, Godspeed, once I did Godspeed, I kind of shifted the direction my music was going in. And that was by design. It took, I sacrificed a lot. Like, it basically if it makes any sense, I wanted to get less club appearances and more concert appearances. And in order to do that, I had to shift where my music was being aimed. So I started making less music for the club environment and more music for just your living environment.
Sure.
And the Christopher project, that's it was basically me trying to I won't say trying, it was me focusing more on that and just creating the direction that I wanted to go in for the next couple projects.
And I was also gonna ask you, I don't know if you've done this before, but the producer or producers is the same for the whole album. Have you done that besides the album you did with Krim, which was all squeaky? Have you done that before with one producer or one set of producers? Or?
Only on the first Christopher. That's why I felt like it was it was almost it wasn't rocket science to do the same thing for Christopher too, to keep the integrity of that brand. I'm looking more into doing that for projects, because like I said, it's a outflow of you. This ain't supposed to, got to be clean.
No.
All right, great.
No.
It's a outpour of music now, so it's kind of tricky. About 5 years ago, the notion was less is more, and then we got into the streaming era, and it picked up and it picked up and it picked up and now we at a point like, you would know better than me, but it's like 100 songs being uploaded to streaming platforms every day.
Yeah.
I can put a record out today, and it wouldn't really matter how many fans I have. After the 10 minutes it takes to listen to that song 2 or 3 times, it's a new song that just came out from somebody else, and that goes their attention. And since it's that way, I kind of threw away the notion that, to drop like, once or twice every year. I don't think that really suffices. I don't think that accommodates my fan base. So I'm trying to release more now. And in order to do that, one of the things I always pride myself on is not making the exact same thing over and over. You listen to my Godspeed album and you listen to my Christopher album, or you listen to my Christopher album and you listen to the season 2. And these are totally different projects. I'm not going in and we just re-rap the same songs because it worked last time. Yeah. And I think the best way to do that is with a assortment of production. Because the last thing you want to do is create a mundane sound. I don't want anybody or monotone. Like that was one of the first things when once I figured out how I wanted to be as a musician, one of the first things that I wanted to make sure I prevented was becoming monotone. So any person that's listened to any of my music, if you're listening to you can just listen to a verse. It wouldn't have to be a whole song. But if you listen to any verse from me, I never keep the same energy through the entire verse. It's not like, if it was laid back for the first couple lines, it's not going to be laid back through the, if it's a 12 or 16 or whatever. My entire verse is going to be climatic. And the point of that is because, like I said, the last thing I need you to do is become bored because it's monotone. You almost know what to expect next. And, with music now, especially for me when it comes to the projects, I never really dive in and do the 5-6 projects in a year. And this go around 2023, I plan to really get cranked up.
Well, you told me as a few months ago you came by and you were either at a Kroger or something and you ran into a fan and they said something like, "Man, you haven't dropped in 2 years," and you were like, "You know what? He might be right."
Right. That was a while.
Because you thought about it. I
want to say that was right before. I want to say it was right before Pray God's Not Watching, and when they said that, I'm not so involved with like media, and not just like like TV news kind of media. I mean like.
You talking about like social media, like those
platforms? I'm not involved with anything outside of my actual life. So, like right now, I have Instagram. I got Twitter. Got Facebook. It's a few things like TikTok. I'm not, I can't really. I know it's a necessity at this point, but I can watch TikTok videos. I can't make TikTok videos. Like, I guess I'm one of those kind of people that, I get it. I understand that, you either evolve or die. But I don't believe in becoming everything just because it's time to do it. Like, y'all familiar enough with me, and hopefully the audience is, you familiar enough with me to feel uncomfortable if you looked on your phone and you saw a TikTok video of me dancing.
If I see you dancing on TikTok, I'm going to be very upset.
But you get my point.
I'm going to call you.
So
100%.
So but I think the reason I'm that way is because I'm, like I say, I'm kind of removed. Like, I'm trying to find the best way I could say this. Okay, like I got Instagram, right? You can go on my Instagram and if we scroll, we'll see Ashanti is probably the only artist I've been following. Now I follow a few people, but everybody's muted. Ashanti, I kind of fell in love with the resurgence of her career. So I kind of been paying attention to that, kind of like learning from that. Other than that, I'm just talking about my feed, my personal feed. If we scrolled on mine, you'd see, see, this is like a real estate guru. Same thing. That's like carpentry. That's guns. That's guns, and that's guns too. But I guess they're like showing that they sons got another talent. And there's Ashanti.
Yeah.
There's Ashanti again. And there's guns. But my point was, if it's not in my bubble, I kind of don't tend to it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why, and I think that's what keep me sane. Cause I never fall into it. Like I like I was saying a second ago with the TikTok thing. I know that's the thing. That's the trend, and everybody's doing it. Even the people that shouldn't be doing it. You look at it like, oh my God, like really, and I never want to be that. And since I understand who I am, I think that's the greatest thing about the climate of my music. So sometimes what happens is, we'll put music out. We'll put a project out. We'll do the videos. We do all of that, and then I go home and I become Chris again. And
absolutely,
when I'm Chris, sometimes I forget about Don Tripp, and I'll be in.
That's a great way to be, though. That's a great way to be.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I have to be that way because sometimes I think what happens. The artist, you don't always have to be rap music, but I think sometimes the artist gets so caught into who they're portraying that they forget who they are. And for me, I think the greatest attribute I have is that who I am portraying is who I am. I'm not. I don't have 1,000 chains on because that's what rappers are supposed to have on. I don't have 1,000 rings. The only ring I'm wearing is a wedding ring. But I don't do anything that I wouldn't do. I don't go into it saying, oh well, let's go. Let me post a Hublot because that's the thing. It's the rapper thing is to show the world that I'm richer than you are, and that's never been my thing. My thing is only to show you that I'm talented and I could illustrate.
When we're in a world that literally everything is act as if, like you said, everybody uses social media platforms to take a picture with a car and like, look at this car, look at this, look at all this I have. And half the time, it may not even be theirs. I know people that do that.
And what happens
and you keep that real, though. That's great.
And, well, that's because when that happens, like, let's say, hypothetically, like you say, I take a picture of all these cars. And in real life, I wreck one of them. In real life, when COVID hit, shit was real for everybody. What happens when those cars get repoed? It means life. Life is life. What do I do then? Now I got to go rent a car to show you on my Instagram? Because I've been showing you cars all this time, and I can't show you that, there's turbulence in my life. I got to make sure I, uphold this image. So what happens, again, COVID, what happens when I start wasting money renting a car to show you on my social media?
Well, and that's my point, though. People do that, not just rappers.
Right,
everybody in this world, they get out there and they go to Vegas and they rent that Ferrari and they drive through and have somebody video it like, hey, man, we're just rolling
or go
through.
to Vegas, like, 20 people stand in one room to all show you this, extravagant room at the Bellagio.
Right.
And I understand it. I can relate to it, but, that's it's like a it's just the line in the sand. I just refuse to cross. And the last thing I'm gonna do is become something that my kids don't recognize. And I think that means more to me than everything. Because if I was to put on this act on social media or in the public eye, what do I do when I go home and my kids looking at me and and I'm nothing like
you're not
person.
bad, you're
right. I'm a character when I once the lights come on, and then when they off, then now I'm a parent. And I learned when I was younger by when I had to, I won't say I had to raise them, but they say it takes a village to raise a child. So when I had to help raise my younger siblings or younger cousins or whatever, one of the things I learned early on was you can't play with them too often, because then they'll stop taking you serious. You'll no longer become an authority figure because they take you as a joke. And I keep that same perspective when it comes to raising my children, and when it comes to how how I'm received in the public. So when people come up to me, even like when you were saying they came up to me in Kroger, I've given the energy I've given the audience. They understand that I'm not the guy you can just walk up to and you can't just grab me, or you can't just stand here and just start making conversation, or you can't run up on me 5 or 6 people with you and expect you just smile and start taking pictures, or we're gonna start acting like rappers. You're gonna run up on a real person, and in real life, we live in the same world. If a complete stranger walks up on you and he gets too close, you're thinking defense. You're not thinking, let's take a picture. Mm-hmm. And, I rock the same way. I got something to protect just as well as most people. So, when they approach, I think the vibe I've given kind of, I think, I think it confirms it for me, that, like I said, I'm not all the way into whatever the trends are, and I think the consumers understand that too.
Hey, a special thanks to our sponsor, Prime Transportation Group.
I think they definitely know. I mean,
right?
Yeah, I can just tell from the comments and stuff on the videos, which that's not the end all be all, but
right.
But the top ones I see, I'm like, yeah, that's him. They get it. I mean, and especially if they saw you doing a TikTok video.
Yeah, they'd all be like, we'd all be disappointed.
Well, and people can tell that, like like you said, that,
right?
But removed from business and as a consumer standpoint, like 2 things. Knowing that, like, I could see if you were on there being fake. I know you off that, but even if I didn't, you can read through stuff. Most people can read through the bullshit.
Exactly.
And then, but
and then I become that though.
Right.
For a person who doesn't know me, that's been following. Even if, let's say, somebody tuned into me today. They tuned into me today, and they see my music is it's heartfelt. Every word that come out of my mouth, I mean it. And then tomorrow they see me dancing on TikTok. Now you really don't know which one to believe. And in society, people believe fake news before they believe, actual credible news.
Because it's more exciting to people.
Of course, the truth is boring.
Right.
And of course, from that, people going to automatically assume I'm a character. They're not going to say, oh, he's doing this for that or whatever. They're going to say whatever he was saying in his music, he don't mean that. He going to say whatever he got to say for it to be entertaining. And that's the last thing I need, because I think that, like I said a second ago, that kind of translates into my real life. And if I was somewhere and a stranger approached me assuming I was a joke, then that would be a mistake on their behalf, but it would be my fault, because that's what I've given you. I've given you antics, and instead of that, I'd rather just be who I am. And going back to, like you were saying, when the fan was like, you ain't dropped in about 3 years. That was a realization moment, because I was like, man, wait, you may have a point. Because, like I said, I get caught into being me, and it's a lot of things that go on in music that I don't really agree with or I don't really like. And I'm an opinionated person, but I'm not the kind of person, I don't force my opinion. Or, like, this day and age, I want to say I've never seen it before, but, I'm only 37, so it's not like I've seen everything. But people go further out of their way to tell you what they don't like. people don't tell you what they like. They only tell you what they don't like. No one says, "Oh man, I love Coca-Cola." Instead, they say, "Hey, you know, Coca-Cola's got this in it, that in it. It's bad for you, and yada 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 yada." And these are random people. These aren't, it's not like a scientist that's trying to tell you that, Coca-Cola is bad for you. This is a regular person who just wants to complain about Coca-Cola. And that just is what society is now. They'll tell you what they don't like before they tell you what they do like. And a lot of times, of course, it's the internet. I see things I don't like all the time. Like I just said, I just mute it all. And, I don't have to go out my way to tell you, hey, man, Rolling Stone, I don't like the cover. That really don't have anything. That's my opinion, of course.
Who really gives a shit?
Exactly.
But it's true, though. Like, too many celebrities all over do that. They come out and they talk about all these everything. And it's like, you know what? Honestly, I like you in movies. I like you rapping. I like you on the court or whatever it may be. I don't want to hear about all that.
Yeah,
I don't need to hear that.
I think that kind of should be. I think that's personal, and I don't see anything wrong with some of your personal life remaining personal. Keep that to yourself. You don't got to. I used to tell us, if you don't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. And now it's it's the opposite. If you got something nice to say, don't say nothing at all. You got to say, you don't like something. Like people, you can scroll on any social media platform, and like you were saying, it's a comment section on just about everything, and everybody's telling you what they don't like, what they displeased with, what they, what you could have done or what you should have done. Like, that's the crazy thing about it, and that kind of make everything kind of full circle for me. It showed me that it's not just music. It's not just me. Like, like I said, I just told y'all, I follow carpenters, and gun enthusiasts. And under all of those posts, it's always, like a group of people to say, you did something wrong. It can be, it can be a guy showing you how he painted his room. And it's going to be people under there saying, oh, you used a roller. You should have used an air sprayer. And if you use the air sprayer, I'm like, oh, you used the air sprayer. You're supposed to use a brush to finish on the finish. No matter what, it's going to be people telling them what they would have done or should have done or how they feel like it was supposed to go. Same with like gun enthusiasts. That's like the most opinionated platform I've ever seen in my life, because everybody thinks they're a gun expert. And I don't think it's possible to be a gun expert. I think it goes like everything else. Like, if you like the 9mm shell, some people like it, some people love it, some people prefer a 40 caliber. And there's no wrong answer in this. It's about how you move. It's like if, I prefer hoodies and you prefer t-shirts. We can sit and debate on it. We can debate on it all day, but neither of those will be determining factors or facts. It's just, that's your preference and this is my preference. And when it comes to social media and the outside world in general, that's kind of how I operate. I just try my best to stick to what my preference is, and I think I'm comfortable enough and confident enough to stand on that. Like, I don't have to wear what everybody's wearing because it's what everybody's wearing, or do what everybody's doing just because it's everybody's just because it's what everybody's doing.
And I think your fans know that, and why they're so loyal, because if you weren't you, then you wouldn't be you. Like, if you were completely different,
I feel what you're saying.
Like, if it was an alternative reality and you were completely different, it just wouldn't be the same. It might still work, but it
would be the opposite of organic.
Yeah. Like,
it wouldn't feel natural. I think that's why it feels natural, because it is natural. Y'all how I operate. I don't have to. We use as little cosmetic as possible. We're not in it to. I'm not in it to impress anybody. I think that no matter what, my sister used to tell me that you can please some of the people, some of the time, all of the people, none of the time. So I would rather a person not like me, or not so personal, but I would rather a person not be a fan of me because of who I am than be a fan of me because of what they think I am.
Yes.
So, I would take that over the opposite end of the day.
Well, so many people aren't that way, though. I mean, so many people go home and, with
and it bothers them.
Oh, yeah. And with you, it's you can literally go home and say, okay, I've given the impression of exactly who I am.
Right.
I'm a father. I'm a husband up and above everything else.
Right.
Or a son, whatever your priorities are.
Right.
That's your life. Here's my music. This is no different than my day job, Jeff's day job.
Exactly.
We're at work. When you go home, you just want to forget about work. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can.
Right, of course. And with me being an independent artist, it kind of create the it's not 9 to 5. It's it's 24 hours. I am who I am. But like you said, when I'm when I function my everyday. My life is my real life. It's not, even when the music kicks in, and like you said, when I'm home, I'm who I am. I don't have to I'm not sitting in the house saying, oh, I can't send my kids to this school because social media is gonna say I'm a rapper, I'm supposed to send them to this school, or in real life, no one really with people with their priorities situation, no one really thinks like that. You're not going home saying, well, I got to get a new job because, bills are fluctuating. But wait, let me not do what I'm good at. Let me not pursue a career that, that I have some expertise in. Let me do what TikTok said, that what I'm supposed to be doing. Let me go and be a fucking social media influencer. You gotta do what works. You gotta, and what works ain't, not because it worked for so and so that's got however many followers or however many likes. You gotta do what actually, provides for you. And for me, that's the ultimate goal. Everything else really means nothing. Because at the end of the day, when people comments, even though in some of those platforms you get paid for the comment, paid per comment, that their their standpoint in their comment or their opinion won't ever pay my bills. They won't ever provide for my children. It will forever be their opinions. And if I let that become what's important to me, I think I'll get lost along the way.
Well, and even the people that get caught up in what everybody else is doing, your fan base some of them may get caught up in what you do. But what you do is be real. And again, be that good father figure so they can say, man,
yeah, I
need to be a better
father.
Too. I need to be a better this. I need to be a better role model for the people in my life because, everything's not about the showmanship
the
crap
glitter
out here.
Yeah, of course. I get that though. I get sometimes people reach out and that's another thing I've learned even when it comes to like the direct messaging and that kind of stuff. I've learned that I used to I'd read it and I'd respond. Just because I appreciate, the fact that people appreciate my music, or that you're affected by it, and more times than none that backfires. Because what happens then? They don't stop messaging me then, and it gets more and more personal. Even I can't be personal with you unless I actually know you. So it kind of clicks then that I have to understand that this person feels like they know me, and me removing the barrier, even as small as just accepting this message, and I reply to the message. Now you can reply to it again, and we can have a conversation. And in my head, I was trying to show people that I'm human too, and I do appreciate it. And what happens is that moment passes for them. And it becomes I'm speaking to a celebrity. I'm speaking to this person that I'm a fan of, and it goes south immediately. Or what happens? I end up with people that want to pursue music. And one thing I would never do is give advice when it comes to music. I can tell you what I've been through. I can tell you, my standpoint or my take on certain things, but I can't tell you how to do it, because You know, it's 1,000 ways to do this. There's even more ways. Every day there's another 1,000 ways to do this. And I can tell you what worked for me because it worked for me doesn't mean it'll work for you. You know, we're all different people. We got different backgrounds. We got different situations. You know, I drive a Suburban, but, you know, I got 7 kids. You may not have 7 kids. Driving a Suburban might be, you know, a bad investment for you, or, you know, economically, you know, that shit take about $130 to fill up. You riding by yourself, that don't sound like, you know, they don't sound logical, but it worked for me. Mm-hmm. So me giving you that advice, hey, go buy a Suburban, and it's just you and your wife, and now you got this big ass gas guzzler when you could have went and got a coupe.
Trip told me to get a Suburban.
Yeah,
what
right, exactly. Now when that don't work out
pay
for
my
you,
gas bill?
It was my fault. You know, it was the advice that I gave you. So instead, I would rather tell you, you know, I can tell you what worked for me and how I feel like it, you know, it makes sense for me. I can't tell you how to go about, you know, this for you. And what happens, you know, when I accept a message that, you know, people will go from, you know, hey, I like your music, to, hey, what can I do to get in the music business? Or, hey, I want to sign with you. Or, hey, what do you think about this person and that person and this person? And, you know, like, you know, I initially accepted the message because I wanted you to understand that I appreciate your appreciation for me. And, you know, that kind of get lost in the shuffle. So even then, I have to just, you know, I have to read what you had to say, and even if I feel like I appreciate it, I can't tell you that I appreciate it for fear that you may turn this into something that it's not. And especially now that I'm married, it's a lot easier to get. It's a lot easier to you know, to cause disruption in my relationship, because, you know, women enjoy my music as well, so I can't really respond if, you know, this makes, you know, for the you know, for her comfort. You know, you don't want your significant other sitting and all day, all they doing is communicating with, you know, with random you know, you wouldn't want them, you know, communicating with random men. I wouldn't want my wife sitting here and, you know, she's having long conversations with some other man. You know, that would make me uncomfortable, whether that was her fan or not.
Your wife and I talked about that the other day when we were texting. We talked about how
but, you know, but you get what I'm saying,
right? So
I had to look at it like that. You know, like, you know, I can't. I get it, and I don't know if you know, if celebrities do that or not. If they, you know, like, communicate with the audience, like, you know, in a personal forum or not. But I found that don't work for me. But, you know, when I do read some of the you know, some of the messages, you know, I get to, you know, I read one, I want to say yesterday. You know, it was like, man, you taught me how to be a better father, and they was like, man, crazy thing is I'm 40, and I was, you know, that touched me. I can't. You know, I can't accept the message and tell you that touched me, because, you know, then it goes into other shit. But that, you know, that kind of reassures me that, you know, that I'm on the right path when it comes to you know, to the content that I do provide. Like, you know, I understand I have to provide more content, visual content. You know, that go back, like I was saying, you know, you gotta adapt or die. And for that, you know, I just try to find what works for me and not step into, you know, not cross that line in the sand. Because once you do, then, you know, there's no return from it. And the last thing I want to do is give you the impression that I'm a person that I'm not. Because, like I say, you know, I think that ends terribly. Because if you assumed I was some jolly guy, carefree or whatever, and you approach me, and then, you know, we get to reaching, you're like, oh shit, he's about to shoot me. You know, that would I would feel like it's kind of my fault. I gave you the impression that I was a clown, so to speak. And I'm not. At the circus, when the show's over, the kids go greet the clown. They take pictures with the clown. Not I don't mean clown in the sense of a person you don't take serious, so to speak. I mean, that person,
the actual character, the clown,
right,
the clown,
right.
at the.
And the show was over, but the clown is the clown. That was the point of it. And when the kids go take pictures with the clown, the audience wants to take pictures with the clown. It's perfectly fine. It's normal. The clown expects that. But when you take all his makeup off, you don't recognize him. And for me, it kind of go the same way. I don't have the luxury of wearing the makeup, so you got to be able to recognize me at all times. And when you do, you got to be able to understand that every forum ain't a forum for you to, come in and greet me, or for you to be in my space. At a concert, of course, come off, finish performing, you want pictures and autographs, you want to talk or whatever, for however much time I can, I can devote to that. That's perfectly fine. That's great. But
because you're still at work.
Right.
You're still at work.
Exactly.
But then when you're
but
with
in
your
a
family,
Target, and I got my kids, and you want to stand and have a rap conversation or a conversation about anything, and you don't know me, it's not gonna bode well. It's not gonna happen. And if I gave you the opposite impression, and that happened. If I gave you the impression that I was, the jolly guy and carefree and, easy, whatever, and when you ran into me in Target and I refused your picture and, I spoke, I told you I appreciate it and I kept it moving because I got my kids, you'd feel some kind of way. You feel like you met your favorite rapper and he's Hollywood or he's stubborn or stuck up or whatever. And in real life, I'm just protecting what belongs to me. I don't have the luxury of standing here and having a conversation with a complete stranger and the whole world's operating around me, whether I got my children with me or not. I mean, we live in the same world. Rappers wear a target on their back these days, and it's really kind of always been like that. But there's people that see you and see a person. Some people see you and see your successes. Some people see you and see what they don't have. And the last thing I need to occur is for me to be preoccupied when that moment arrives. I don't know who's paying attention. I don't know who's moving around. And this, these kind of incidents don't have a preference.
Hey guys, we want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Memphis International Records.
Like, we from Memphis. So I know y'all remember when that Kroger got shot up.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like it was the
one in Carterville.
The sushi chef.
Yeah. Got fired and came.
Right, but you didn't expect that. You expect, let's say a rapper was present then and, was injured or killed in that incident. You wouldn't have expected that. Because that had nothing to do with a rapper. It wasn't rapper related. Mm-hmm. That was just, that was humans being humans.
Sure.
That happens everywhere. The Target that's across the street from there, somebody set it on fire. It was a Target in I can't remember where that was at, but I know y'all remember when I don't know if that was a Target. I think that was a Walmart. When somebody just walked in and just started shooting in a random Walmart. Mm-hmm. These things happen, and I can't think as a rapper and say, hey, I'm safe because I'm not at a show or I'm not in my old neighborhood. No, I don't have to be a rapper for shit to happen to me. So I don't want to be in the middle of Target or Walmart or in the Wendy's line or whatever and not be paying attention to what's happening in the real world. Because to some people, I'm not a rapper. To some people, hey, that's a Suburban. Shit, I can't afford a Suburban. I want that Suburban. And here I am talking to you about a fucking picture that you want to take. And, in real life, we are in no forum for that. And at a concert, we got security to not saying I depend on the security or I trust them with my life, but, we in an environment where barriers are present. We at a concert, the security is present. You can't just run up to me. It's in an orderly fashion. I'll take your picture, then I'll take his picture, then I'll take your picture. And Target is not that. We just two human beings standing in Target. What happens when, I'm paying so much attention to you because it's my job and shit's happening or shit happens. Or shit, for all I know, you about to make some shit happen. Because, Selena got killed by her fan, the president of her fan club. Yeah. So, was it John Lennon get killed by a random person? And, these kind of things, they stand in my mind. I don't look at that. I don't look at it like, hey, I'm a rapper. I got to think that, they trying to get me like all the rappers that have been slain. Yeah, that's true too. But in real time, we're in the real world. It's people that's out to get you in an accident. Oh yeah. And, I had to pay attention to that. And I think that's that's another one of the greatest attributes about me and my music. I don't give you the impression that I am carefree or careless or I think that is another one of the things that keep me sane, keeps me able to be as genuine as I am. The boundary is present and it's apparent. It's visible. I don't, like I say, I don't give you this image and then when you see me, I give you a alternative. What you see is what you get. When you see me in an interview or you see me on the stage or whatever, or see me in the video, that same energy is the energy I got in person. And I think more people need to or have to operate the same way. Because some people get so caught in, like I said, with social media. Like I had to tell my kids, I've been having to do that now. Like, I had to stop them. They want to do a TikTok video no matter where we are, no matter what's going on. And I have to tell them, like, look, you got to do that at home. Right now, you need to be paying attention. You didn't see that, that person almost bagged into a person. In the parking lot, you trying to dance. Get out of your phone. You need to be paying attention. We're in the store, and, you don't notice that, I don't mean like danger, so to speak, but we could be in the store and, like I said, I got a few kids, so it's very easy for us to cover the aisle because everybody's not paying attention. But it's other people in the store. And I have to teach, I've been teaching them to pay attention to your surroundings. It's two people behind you with a basket. They're trying to get through. That person's got 4 kids. They trying to get through. The only way we all going to make it down this aisle is if we share it. And if we're not paying attention, we can't share it. But, those are the kind of things that, I've been, that I've been having to teach them, you got to pay attention no matter what. And as they get older, then I had to teach them, the dangers you got to be aware of. But first, you just have to be aware, period. Because, the whole world's, it doesn't revolve around you, but it's revolving around you.
And that seems to be a sense of entitlement with youth now. Like, they think everything revolves around them. It's this whole, and they're in their phones, they're in whatever it may be. And that's a life lesson, too, on a small scale of there's all these people in the aisle, and if you're not paying attention, but it's a bigger lesson taught. Right. It's a life lesson, to your point, that when you get down the road,
you got to pay attention
to this, that, and the other.
There's a lot going on.
Because, and part of the stigma with you being a rapper, no matter how much you try not to put that out there, if that Kroger, if the 3 of us ran in that Kroger to grab some beer because we're going to go watch a game together, and we all got shot, it's going to be Jeff Phillips and Will Brewer got shot, and local Memphis rapper Don Tripp.
You're right.
So no matter how much you try to escape it, it's there. But you do a great job of
acknowledging that,
of knowing that. Exactly.
Right. Indeed, I agree. And that's one of the things. Like I learned that early on too. Like on the road, I think the way I operate keeps me out of a lot of shit too. Just because I don't get caught, like I was saying, I don't get caught into the lights. And I learned before I ever became a rapper. Actually, I learned from Tupac's situation when he wound up with the rape charge, and it was supposed to be. I want to say it was supposed to be 3 men involved in that whole situation, and Tupac was the only one we heard about. Tupac was the only one that was publicized, and when I don't know what happened. I wasn't there, so I don't know if he did it. I can only hope or put faith in Tupac that it didn't happen the way the victim claimed it happened. But that's beside the point. My point was, like you just said, if we walk into a store, if we go in there together, if we go in the store right now and you decide to rob the place, when we leave, they're gonna say, "Don Trip," and whoever, or I'm going to be the lead suspect.
Don Tripp and his accomplices,
right? I had nothing to do with that, and I kind of learned that. So on the road, we kind of, like that. That's like rule number one. That whatever you doing reflects on me. If we go and you tear your hotel room up, they gonna say Trip them tore the hotel up. If you do something, sideways to a girl, they gonna say Trip them did that. If we go in and we have a shootout and I have nothing to do with it, if you was with me, they gonna say Trip them. And that was always one of the things I wanted to avoid, because that creates a lot of chaos. Because what happens then, let's say the first hypothetical, we walked in and robbed the place. Now the police looking for me. I had nothing to do with that. I didn't tell you to do anything. You did what you wanted to do. But they looking for me now. And, depending on how that went, and, not just, I don't mean this in a racial way, but you robbed the right place. After that, you kind of, when it comes to police, it's shoot on sight no matter what color you are. And, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to create that environment. We go into a club and somebody that's with somebody that's with me have an altercation with somebody. Now it's tripping them. I don't know these people. I can't recognize these people. I've never met these people. So next month when we're doing a show, the next town over, I don't know to be watching for these people. I don't know these people. So when they come to retaliate on Trip, because Nim is not present.
Because Nim, yeah.
Now what do I do? And that was always it for me. Like, I don't want to ever put myself in a predicament that I can't stand tall in, or create a predicament that I didn't create. Now I want to, if I did it, I did it. I can stand on what I done. If it was Trip, then so be it. It was Trip. Yeah, I said it. I did it. Whatever. I meant it. Even if it was a mistake, I done it. It is what it is. But I don't want to have to be held accountable for the next individual. And I've learned that since this is my profession, that it's almost by default. And, I'm the most noticeable face. So when something occurs, it's going to be on me. So when we move around, that's the thing that, is present. Everybody has to understand that whatever you're about to do, if you do it, it reflects on me. If we go out to eat and you decide to pay and you don't want to tip, the waitress is not going to say, Jeff Phillips didn't tip me. She's going to say, Trip is cheap as hell. I had nothing to do with that. I didn't even, but you get what I'm saying.
Right, yeah.
And I look at everything that goes on around me the same way. Like, no matter what, it's going to be on me. And, I think that's very necessary. And like I said, I think that's what keep my head on straight, so to speak. Because you can get caught up in so much shit. It's ridiculous. And, no matter what, I come from the street environment. So it makes it even worse. It's 10 times worse because, street justice is the worst justice because they don't need truth. in nothing. Like, like we said a second ago, the truth is boring. So what happens when I just stopped to get some gas, and a person from one of those shows, in whatever spot we was at, they got into it with a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy that knows me. Mm-hmm. Now I gotta stand here and I gotta to defend something I don't even know exists, and that's impossible because the enemy you can't see coming is the one that gets you. The surprise attack will always be the best and most efficient manner of attacking. And here I am now. I just got whatever happens because of something I had nothing to do with. And like I said, that's how I operate. Like, man, whatever you doing, if you doing what you do it on your time. On my time, I only operate with. That's why I only operate with essential personnel. If you don't have a role, then you're not coming with me. No matter what we're going to do. If we're going to, I didn't come up here with an entourage. Every time you've ever seen me, you've never seen me with an entourage. You see me with an extra driver,
right?
Or you see me with people involved in whatever situation we're working, but you don't see unnecessary people. You don't see people who don't have a role, because I feel like that's the easiest way to create chaos. Because it's just sitting duck, and what they say, idle hands, a devil workshop. So I got a person present just to, to create chaos, just to make things unbalanced. Now I don't really believe in that. And of course that helped thin out the crowd too. Of course, when I first started making money from music, I had every Tom, Dick, and Harry wanted to be around me. And, this is before I could understand that, I don't need all these people around me. And the more people around me, the more vulnerable we really become. Because what happens is, this guy knows that guy, and that guy is the guy that knows me. It leaves two people I don't know. And you brought a guy that you know that he don't know and he don't know. And you did the exact same thing. Now we got 50 people here, and I only know 5 of the 50 people. That don't really create the right environment. And sometimes, more times than none, I know these 5 people. I don't know that it's 5 people that came with y'all that don't like me. Those are the 5 people who made me harm. Those are the 5 people who are going to create chaos on purpose. And, when it all boils down, it'll be tripping them again. But it was the environment I created for myself. I created a lethal or toxic environment for myself. And I had to learn, that was the first step. Let me, filter it. Let me make sure the people that's around me mean well. And at this point, if I'm going on the road, every person that knows me knows. You don't even have to ask, hey, can I come? Or what are you doing? If you're not doing something, then,
Yeah, we're going, so.
Right, you already answered your question.
Going, yeah.
Right, if you got a role,
then you're already on board.
Right, but if you don't have a role, you can't roll.
And if not, hey, buy a ticket, come see the show and support.
Right, that's always great.
But that's as far as it goes.
Yeah, but it has to be that way. Even when it comes to family, a lot of what I do involves family, and if they're not related, the people that's involved, I've known since I was, since I was a child, like 7, 8, 10, that kind of situation. But everybody understands that, we're not going to have fun. I love what I do. I have fun doing what I do. But we're not going to have fun. We're not going to play. And this is very serious. And again, not just because I'm a rapper. Of course, because I'm a rapper, that adds a level of let me see. It adds a level of paranoia because I'm a rapper. The culture that comes with it involves a lot of violence, and I've seen it. I've been involved in it, and no matter what, it's always present. But not just because I'm a rapper, but because I'm a public figure, period. Like I said a second ago, John Lennon didn't have beef with the person that killed him. Selena didn't have beef with the person that killed her. And shit, nobody that got killed in the whole Manson family thing, they didn't know any of those people. Mm-hmm. But that's my point. Just being a public figure, period. It already creates a sense of paranoia. At least it should, because you don't really know who your enemies are, and you create enemies on accident.
Random people can just get killed, like we've talked about. Then you add the entertainer onto it.
Exactly.
So why would you even have such a loose circle?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All you do is create a bigger vulnerability.
Yeah. Just compounds. Like, it just doesn't make.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I look at it. Like, and like I said, I had to learn that because, early on we be moving around. There's things I'm noticing going on around us and nobody else is noticing. Everybody's having fun. And, I had to, at some point I had to sit the people that are involved down and sift out the people that don't belong. And explain, I got to get everybody to understand that we got to be paying attention. Because like I said, same thing with my kids. It's a world going on around us. And if you're not paying attention, you can very easily get caught up in it. And, I mean, again, that goes from, the worst scenario to something not so severe. But it happens. Like right now, if we in our phones and we walk out in the parking lot, man, I don't know what you call them things that you put in, like the little bumps you put it at the end of the parking space so people don't go past.
So they don't drive through the building.
Right.
Because they're looking at their phone.
But exactly. If we walk out of the building right now on our phones and we don't see the damn bump, you can trip over it right then. And, freak accidents happen. You trip over it. And we ain't fucking 18. So we trip over that shit and hit our elbows. Our shit's gonna take a little minute.
Yeah, we might break some shit.
Right, So I look at everything like that. Like, we on the road and we can be in a place that is not a rapper environment, so to speak. You know what I mean? We're not in wherever we are. I'm not there to perform. Or let's say we're in the mall. If I'm in the mall, I don't want all of the fanfare kind of attention, because a mall is, no matter where you are in that mall, your back is to everything. And no matter where you turn, no matter where you stand, no matter what, your back is to everything. Mm-hmm. You can pivot as much as you like, but you're in a mall, you're surrounded. So in the mall, the last thing I need is for every person in the mall to be aware that I'm in the mall. Because I can't be aware of every... it's a mall, but that's what I'm saying. So in those kind of environments, I have to teach the people around me, you got to pay attention to what's going on around us. And to be aware of, what we're doing. We in the mall, we don't want the whole mall to know we in the mall.
Well, and that's a life lesson for anybody. Like, everybody in life should trim the people around them. And then, to your point, you shouldn't have to be the only face that's paying attention to everything that goes on, because I'm one of those weird people. I walk into a room, I see where all the exits are, I pay attention to what's going on. But if we all three go in the room and we're all paying attention to something, it's less likely to miss something.
Exactly.
We can't see everything at all times, but if you're the only responsible party, but if you're helping the people around you see that, and that's for you being on the road, you being in the mall,
right? It's
you as an artist or just people,
right?
Like, if we pay attention, less things. Now there's crazy shit.
Yeah, no matter what,
shootings you can't prevent. Like, there's just some people that are just want to see the world burn. But outside of that, the reality is, everybody pays attention, everybody looks, and the ones that don't, get them out of the way.
Exactly. Especially, because I want to make it back home to my kids. That's the goal for me. Everything else is secondary. Some of this shit's obsolete. And, when I'm moving around, I need you to be on the same thing. I want you to want to make it home too. And like, we learned it early on. We don't celebrate. I said that in the song. We don't celebrate till we made it home. If we ain't made it home yet, then this job isn't done. We're not safe, and anything can still happen. Once we made it home, we've made it into our safe space. Until then, you need to be on the swivel. And no matter if it's a 18-hour drive. Okay, you know, we all going to sleep, of course. But when we stop this van or bus or whatever we in, when we get out, you need to be paying attention because we're not safe. Not because we're rappers, but because we're human beings, period. You know, no matter what, no environment, in no shape, form, or fashion are you safe just because you're not feeling violent. You don't know who the fuck is, and you know shit just happens. Mm-hmm. We can be driving right now, and you know I stopped at KFC to get some food, and you know somebody pull up with me. You know it's a car pull up with me, and again not on a rapper you know aspect, but a car pull up with me, and they jump out, and you know they get to beating on my windows or they pull guns out. Why? Why did that just happen? Well, if I was paying attention, one, I would have peeped that this car is still behind me driving aggressively. Two, I would have realized that I pissed them off on the expressway 5 minutes ago because I got over. And, you know, to them, I cut them off. I didn't intentionally cut them off. Or maybe I did intentionally cut them off because I didn't want to miss my exit. But if I wasn't paying attention, I wouldn't have peeped that, you know, I got road rage happening and it's on the way to me. I just carelessly pulled up at a, you know, in a fucking fast food restaurant like nothing's going on around me. You know, if you get what I'm saying. Not to say that, you know, you can't just pull up at a KFC. I'm just saying you got to be paying attention to what's going on around you because that would be a scenario that I would be able to prevent or handle, you know, handle with some haste. I wouldn't be caught off guard. And you know, like you just said, some people want to watch the world burn and shit just happens how it happens. So you kind of got to live the way you drive. And you got to drive defensively. You know, you got to drive like, you know, that car may not be paying attention. They might try to get over. And, you know, if they even swerve a little bit, you know, I can't swerve too and hit the fucking car beside me. I got to, you know, I got to have enough space in between to stop. I got to be able to make a decision as quick as possible. And you kind of got to live the same way. Live the way, you know. Like I said, live the way you drive. You got to live defensively. Because, you know, I'm not running, you know, I don't plan to go and shoot up anything or anybody. I don't want to harm any person that's not intending to harm me. But we, you know, like you just said, you know, we live in a world where that same notion ain't practiced by every person. And me being a rapper adds to it. Because now what the dynamic it adds, if the assailant notices me, I become a more valuable target, so to speak. Now, if a person wants to just come wherever and, you know, like how they do all the mass shootings and shit, they shoot random people. But if they saw a face that they recognized, the person they recognize is who's going first. Yeah, I got to get the person I recognize. You know, that's by default. You know, when you hear about the school shootings, they went in to shoot their bullies. All of the people they shot weren't bullies. They shot people they recognized. And, you know, by default, I'd be a person you recognize because I'm a celebrity, you know. And I have to think like that. Sometimes paranoia can get the best of you, and gracefully, you know, at least I don't think it's gotten the best of me. But I just have to pay attention. And no matter what we're doing, no matter what environment we in, I think that's like, I think that's my greatest responsibility because it starts there for me to make it home. In order for me to make it home to my kids, I got to do my part, and my part is paying attention to what's going on around me.
And there's always the threat, which is a segue into your first album you brought to us. You like that? That's pretty good, isn't it?
I like that, Jay. I like it.
I don't know.
What's great, though, is like we have, you know, all this history of you and everything that you've done in the world, and yet you come in here and we learn.
Indeed,
we learned Christopher Wallace. We
haven't even gotten into.
We didn't even get into. I mean, that's the whole point of now. We have to bring you back.
Oh, of course.
To talk about all the other stuff, because I mean, the big thing right now is Christopher season 2.
Indeed.
Like, I mean, tell everybody where they can get it.
Everywhere, actually. All of the places that you get music from, and that's thanks to Jeff, of course. But
don't
don't build up. Yeah, my head's already.
His name's on it, but he delegated that to somebody else.
I'm surprised these things even fit. My head's so big.
I can dig it. But yeah, it's everywhere you can get it.
All the digital platforms.
Yeah, we don't have a preference or loyalty to a certain to a certain platform. I don't much dive into that, and they all pay me what they pay people. So we just
go get it.
Right, wherever you can get it, go get it.
No, that's great. We're not going to take up any more of your time. We've loved it. We've got to bring you back though.
Yeah, we have to have a part two.
We've got. There has to be a part two because there's so much Jeff and I've talked about that we know that everybody else may not know that. But today we all learned something. I think it's great to learn. You gave your fan base something that they'd never hear anywhere else. I think it's fantastic, and we love that you're here.
I appreciate
it. Glad
Thank you
came
so
to
much.
see us, and
it's been great.
And hope we can get you back in here real soon.
I'm with it.
All right, everybody. That's us here live. Don Tripp.